Welcome to Real Money Talks. Real strategies from the moneymakers and the world changers that you can use to make millions, keep those millions, multiply your wealth, and build your team. Here's your host, author of 5 New York Times bestsellers, money expert on Dr. Phil, CNN, CNBC, The Street TV, Fox News, and The View, Loral Langemeier.
Ladies, you are in for such a treat. Here at the Take Control of Your Life virtual event, we have the one and only millionaire maker, Loral Langemeier, on next. She is a world-renowned money expert, entrepreneurial thought leader, and not one, not two, but 5-time New York Times best-selling author. And I have to tell you, I've seen her on stage and I've seen her in action. I feel so grateful that she is here with us to join you on your adventure and your journey of taking control of your life. So let's welcome Loral to the virtual stage. Hi, Loral. How you doing?
Good. How are you?
Oh my gosh, I am so good. I'm so excited to have you here.
Thank you. It's great to be here and good to see you again. It's been a minute, like we said.
Yes.
Pre-COVID, so a minute ago.
Yes, a few minutes.
Well, and I don't even know if you know, or your audience knows, but last year we came out with the Make Your Kids Millionaires book.
Oh, no.
2022. So it's a story of how I've made my kids millionaires and how I raised them as a single mom and did all of that. So a lot of the women might want to go grab that. There's like $1,500 of bonuses. And we are the personal finance book of the year, business book of the year for 2022. So very cool. One cool thing that happened in COVID.
Well, that is cool. I'm a single mom and my 13-year-old daughter is already investing. So I'll be sure to pick up that book and I'm sure she'll read it. Never mind. Not just me. She'll be on top of that.
It's a kind of a family book. So we'll go from there. Yeah. So it's great to be here.
It's awesome to have you here. Okay. So let's get into the nitty gritty because I really want to punch out some awesome tips from you that these ladies can take away that is going to help them take control of their lives and their finances especially. So with your extensive experience in empowering individuals, particularly in challenging industries, how do you see financial challenges affecting a woman's ability to take control of their businesses?
I'm going to say there isn't any. Now, there's some inherent challenges that just kind of come along with being a woman in a male-dominated space, but I tend to find my way into very male-dominated spaces. And I just think that's an excuse that women need to lay down and take control, which is what I did, for my whole life. But, my big moment was 1999 was I got pregnant with Logan and he's now 24. And, because I knew I was going to be a single mom. He didn't want to be a dad. He's the biological father. So I took it on with a vengeance. So I took a massive control at a whole nother level and said, I'm going to do it very different. And I want to create generational wealth for my kids. And so I have 2 kids, 24 and 17 now, single mom. And so all of you women, you can do anything you want. And as far as the men are concerned, or men are being paid more, I'd say then just negotiate better and ask for more. And do as good of offers. I make and command still to this day more than most of my male counterparts financially. So I think it's an excuse that a lot of women tuck behind, and not an advocate of it. Stand in top and stand in control, and just produce amazing results for people.
I love that. That's what I say when I'm on stage and I'm talking to groups of women. I say enough with equality conversation.
Thank you.
You can't control an industry. You can't control how fast they're going to move towards what you want. So stop using it as an excuse and start walking towards what you want because you're completely capable of harnessing that power.
100%. 100%.
Considering the complexities, though, of financial management, and in women, let's be real, we tend to like shy away from that. That's a man's job, right? That's something that the man in the house is supposed to take care of. What guidance can you offer someone feeling sort of overwhelmed in seeking either that knowledge or, where to even start in having that financial security for herself?
You follow me. So I have a huge YouTube channel. I started during COVID. So it's Loral Langemeier, the Millionaire Maker. And a lot of it, the fear and the standing still and the lack of control is I'm going to equate it to the lack of knowledge. So when you don't know a lot, whether it's finance, business, whatever it is, you stand still, you end up paralyzed. So you got to lean in and learn is a big theme I have in my life, which lean in and every day, 5 days a week. I even have, what's we call a YouTube learning journal. So inside you can actually write down especially for moms, right? Write down the video, what day, what the topic was, what you learn, and what are you going to do, and have your kids do the same. So it's a family friendly channel intentionally to help people start learning the real truth about money. I mean, COVID has still paralyzed many, many parts of the world. I was traveling 6 continents before COVID, came home, Eric introduced us, reintroduced us, I'd say. And what was interesting about his reintroduction, it's been a minute since I've been back to Canada. I mean, Canada couldn't come here. I'm married, about to be divorced by a Canadian. But it's so interesting to watch the world still stand still, and women do stand still. And I always have another theme. I have a lot of funny, what I call them Loralisms. It's called the man is not a plan, because they're not. They're handy dandy for a few things in your life. And you have to take control. And I'm going to start with the business, and actually have some great gifts for all of the folks that are watching, is living corporate life. I don't care what continent you're in, what country, what county, province in Canada, you've got to live corporate life. So when you live employee life, you get overtaxed. I don't care where you are in the world, and Canada's worse than the US. When you live inside of a company where your company makes the money, not you. So you'll be employed by the company. Your kids can be employed by the company. If you don't have kids, you should get them their tax deductible. They're super fun. So I start, if any woman 18 or older and that's serious about taking control, get incorporated. So I have a huge team. We're offering folks an opportunity to really learn what corporate life is. So living corporate life is how anyone wealthy's ever become a millionaire. So can you become a millionaire as an employee? Yeah, in 20 years. I mean, if you're paid well and you save well, but that's not very helpful. So I teach them how to live inside a company, and over, 20, I don't know how many million companies were started during the pandemic, and majority of them are women. And women who have gone online, women have done a lot. But if you're doing it as a sole proprietor or a side hustle, I'm not a fan of side hustles. I say go hustle. If you're going to get up and do it and have a company, as you know, Katie, it's you got to learn to market. You have to learn sales. You've got to learn accounting and cash flow. You've got to understand how you can keep your margins tight, price right. So I do an event about every 3 weeks called the Millionaire Intensive, where we roll up our sleeves and we dig into what that extensive life's going to look like. And it's only really a few steps away from the women that are watching. And then to thoroughly live corporate life, how does your family get involved, and how do you deduct more so you pay less in taxes? So living corporate life is what I call it. And even if you have a job, you want to have something on this, an additional business, and whether it's online, real estate, whatever it is that you like to do and want to do, and start living through a company. Corporate structure, it will change the control that you have, and just got to lean in and get some knowledge.
Oh, and I love that, the lean in and get some knowledge. A lot of times we are so busy, right? We wear a gazillion different hats, and we don't lean into our own growth. We don't ask for what we want, and we definitely don't go after what we want. And so I love that tip, because leaning into knowledge, it's everything. I mean, you can't unknow something, right? So once you know something, you're almost forced to do something. And so leaning into knowledge is fantastic. Given your background in entrepreneurship and leadership, what strategies would you suggest for aspiring entrepreneurs, whether it's the side hustle or a hustle, to maintain an integrated life and work balance? Because, I mean, being a woman, and if you're a mom, especially a single one, I mean, let's be real, it's not easy.
Yeah. And so I don't use the word balance, because it doesn't really work like that. Right. You know that as a single mom as well. Mm-hmm. Right. So when you're with your kids, you're like, I want you to have everything life. Right. So you can have everything. It's just not at the same time, because that's where balance gets a little tangled up, because you're not going to balance. I mean, balance by definition is stagnation, because you're balancing two, ends of a scale. Mm-hmm. So that's not the life you want. You want to be completely immersed in, in your kids and family, or whatever that is. When you're working out in the gym, focus on you and your health, or whatever your, values and what you end up doing. But the biggest thing for women is making six figures is not difficult. It's different. And I'd love you all to write that down. It's not
I love that. I actually want to write that down right now. I'm going to write it down.
Different. It's earning $8,333 a month, which is $416 a day on a 5-day week. And there's not any woman out here that can't say they can do it. And then I'm going to couple that, Katie, with the amount of women who say they want to help people. Well, then get to the playing field and help.
Yes.
Not help hundreds or even thousands, help tens of thousands. I've helped millions in a conversation with money. I have 6, New York Times bestselling books. So consume the content. I don't know how many people have followed me but haven't read the books. Like, I'm going to give you an ebook copy of My Millionaire, which is the original big brand. And then I have one on how to do a six-figure business, a 7-figure business, how to learn to invest, how to keep yes energy and control in your life, and then how do you do it with your kids. So just, you got to consume the knowledge in the right way. And unfortunately, we're taught to be employees. And that's a worldwide problem. Who are you going to be when you grow up? You're going to be a doctor, a nurse, a lawyer, or whatever you're going to be. How about an entrepreneur that makes an ungodly amount of money and serves a lot of lives? So if you're really going to say you're going to help people, then you got to get out of your home office and you got to get out with people, whether that's on Zoom and doing virtual events, because all of our events are virtual right now, except for my mentoring and mastermind. We still meet twice a year, and we never even stopped meeting during COVID. It was August of 2020, and we still met in a hotel. Over 150 people showed up.
Awesome.
Kind of freaked out the world.
Well, you know what? We were all sick of it by then anyways, so it was probably great that you did it.
We were all sick of it. So living corporate life, really understanding business, and go for it. If you say you really want to help people, then help people. Like, don't do a little side hustle and make a couple thousand a month. I mean, $8,333 is not a lot to get past. In fact, let's just go to $10,000 a month. So that's always my minimum goal when I'm working with, any adult 18 and older. You can all do it. You just don't know how to do it. And what you're taught, if you're going back to like the Susie Orman, Dave Ramsey, I mean, those are traditional, keep a job, stay out of debt. No, you're going to learn to arbitrage debt. If you don't even know what that is, you got to lean in further. I mean, there are so many ways to make money, and there's so much credit and money available in the world. You just don't know how to go get it, because we're not taught that. We're taught to go get a job. And if you need money, get a job and get a paycheck. And if you need more money, get another one. It's like, no, go become an entrepreneur and be an amazing one. If you're going to go all in.
Yeah, I tell my kids that all the time. I'm like, don't get me wrong, school's important. I get it. Yeah. But I'm like, learn the lessons of learning how to network and learning how to, get out there and take life the bull by the horns and follow my lead. Get out there and be an entrepreneur and take on whatever it is that you need. In your journey, you've highlighted the value of networking. So talking about networking, like, I think school, that's the biggest lesson that it teaches our kids. How can our audience start building connections with influential networks? Because if you're in your home office, you're not really leaving, and the world in a way is still a little bit shut down. How do you get into those influential networks?
Well, you got to lean in. I mean, I don't know how many people hire me to become their mentor and coach. I mean, a lot of, other world leaders have, just not only to learn to market. I mean, the 3 big things that you have to learn to do as an entrepreneur is market, sell, and understand cash flow. So how do you get into networks where you have to provide an offer? So what's the offer that you're going to provide? And I want to just go back a little bit and say, women, it's like, start with something easy. What do you already know how to do? Mm-hmm. What can you put and monetize around what you already know? So you may want this big dream, and you may want to be, a best-selling author like me, or do whatever you want to do in real estate. And you have to start. So start with the easy stuff, given that you have to go learn to be a good entrepreneur. So how do you lean in? I mean, a lot of networking, the reason I held my phone up is the Rolodex. So I'm a huge fan of databases. You've got to start, getting people out of social media following. And the other thing I'm going to tell women, stop posting about your coffee and your lattes and just funny little pictures. Like, get serious. If you look at any social channel of mine, right? My Instagram is at Ask Loral, AskLoral. So any of my channels, it's all business. Now, I might have my kids in there, but it's in the context of business. Mm-hmm. So I'm not out talking about, the fact that I went skiing last weekend or any of that kind of stuff. And if I do, I postured it in, do you have the freedom to do what you want when you want? Because you can't. Like, that's maybe when I post a ski picture, up on the mountain, because I can do what I want when I want and how I can, and because I can, and because I took control early in my life. Mm-hmm. Early. I've had mentors, and I've paid for mentors since I was 17 years old. A lot of you women want to be friends. You can be my friend when you're a millionaire when I make you one. because we won't travel the same. We won't eat the same. We don't treat our kids the same. You can't fly private. Like most people can't. I'm probably one of the only women that's had a private aircraft for 17 years. Like you just got to roll differently. And that doesn't preclude you from getting close. Like the way I became a millionaire fast is I got next to him as fast as I could. And I didn't raise my hand and say, do a deal with me, make me great. If I wanted that, then I paid usually $25,000 to $50,000. And then Bob Proctor made me great. And then I became Bob Proctor's business partner for 6 years and was in Toronto many, 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 many times at his home. Yeah. So you get close to them because you give first. So what I did early in my career is I was the rich dad, poor dad, the cash flow, advisor. In fact, Darren Weeks from Canada was one of my first millionaires. So by Stephen Arnio, one of the biggest real estate investor, millionaires. I mean, we have so many Canadian millionaires and like big leaders of Canada. Mm-hmm. And they live corporate life. They don't overpay taxes. They do everything that I ask them to do. They behave. So get mentoring and coaching is a huge part of getting close to the network, because you can't just come and ask and say, would you just please help me for free and then be your friend? And so when women offer me sometimes their business card, I'll say, I want your credit card first. I'm going to teach you to live the way I live. And then we can roll. Then we might think about being business partners. But right now it's not a fair partnership.
It's not equally yoked.
Close.
Yeah, like at all. It's like
8 industries, about to be 9 industries coming into 2024. And you're not 1 in 1. And that's not a righteous thing to say. And I like actually being a woman saying it, because some of you women have got to stand stronger in who you are, what you contribute to the world. As a mother, you're influencing your children. So playing small, that's who they think you're going to be in the world. Mm-hmm. And how you allow people to treat you. All of these things matter as a woman in the world, especially when you're at any industry, in any business. So pay for the help, get proper mentoring, get coached to pieces. And if you want to be a best-selling author, that's easy. I can do that in my sleep. And again, I'm not saying any of this cocky or arrogant. It takes a lot to dig in and roll up your sleeves. In fact, you'll love this. I did a video last week for some of my social media channels, because people sometimes say, well, will you guarantee me the result? And I said, if you guarantee you actually have a work ethic. And
I do love that.
And I get up and work. So if you can follow me in one day and do everything I say and keep up by the end of 10 to 13 hours, and you say, well, that's a long time. Well, I might have gone to the gym in there. I probably hung out with my daughter in there. I talked to my son in there. I mean, there's a lot that goes into that day. But do you even have a revenue producing day? Or is your day just chatting? And here's the biggest mistake I find women doing. They're always responding to people's requests for their time. And they just happily do it for free.
Yeah.
Like, no, and if I have another saying says, don't move without money. If someone's not paying you, stop coaching, stop help. And you say, well, you say help. Yeah, but you're not a charity. You need to be in business, which means, anything of value costs money. So
we're afraid to ask for it, right? Like, I think a lot of the times we're afraid our own self-worth gets so flustered in the craziness of life that we even forget to ask or know that we're worthy of asking for that transaction.
Always worthy of asking. And again, it's because you also have to know the value you provide, and you're going to get more and more confidence. So where my confidence comes from, and again, you want to write this down, confidence comes from evidence. I produce tens of thousands of millionaires. So couldn't be doing what I'm doing this long, even though there's a few little naysayers on the internet, because they don't want to do the work. They don't want to get up and they don't want to do a revenue producing day. So I always say, I'll guarantee my work if you actually do everything I say at the exact time I tell you to do it, because sequencing is critical. But most of you won't. Most of you want me to, do some little pixie dust and all of a sudden,
we have a millionaire. It just happens. No, it's like that overnight success that is like 10 years in the making, right? It doesn't, it doesn't just happen. Okay, so you suggest that women lean into knowledge, and you suggest that they invest in themselves. So put themselves with a coach like yourself that is going to get them closer to the people who will business partner them. But what if they're afraid, and this is you probably get this all the time, they don't either have the money or they're afraid to go into debt. And debt is something I'd love to talk about, because not all debt is bad debt, right? Like not all debt is bad debt.
Of good debt. And in fact, you're not going into debt. You're paying tuition because you never got an MBA. You didn't get a massive bank account. So, for our tuition, it's extremely reasonable for what you get, because it's more than an executive MBA at Harvard or Stanford. I've had people quit those programs just to come work with us, because we're real life. We go to the streets, we show you, we take you on tours, and whether it's real estate or the business of cannabis or hemp or just, I mean, you name it. I mean, I used to own a supplements company, a recycled glass company. So we take you to the streets in real life examples, not in theory and book knowledge. We take you to the streets and say, how does it get done? How do you really do business? Because it's what you're reading about. And half of the internet, I call the internet the bathroom wall. You'll love that, Katie, because I call the bathroom wall because anybody can write anything about you.
So true.
Somebody can watch our interview and say, oh, Katie's a blah, 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 and Laura's a blah, blah, blah. And we don't even have a chance to defend ourselves. It's out there on social media, and there's no delete button. So the internet's not where you do homework. It's not where you figure out about debt. And if you're not willing to invest in yourself because you are worth it, and if you don't have the money to answer that question, go make it. So I'm going to give people like 2 tickets to my Millionaire Intensive with a strategy session, a free copy of the book, all sorts of goodies. So we can put a link there. I can just, it's askloral.com/take control.
Okay.
Take control. So, and you have to if you go to askloral.com, it's just going to ask you a question to make a request. It's not going to help you. To get the gifts, you have to put /take control. So we know you've come from Katie's viewing, and we know the conversation you've had. And if you're not going to do it for you and your kids, and I really, I always plead that, to women, is your kids are watching you.
Oh my gosh, yes.
You're playing small and you're hiding out and you don't think you're worth it. You're raising your kids to not be worth it. So
I love that. I have an ex-husband, obviously single mom, but he, the one thing I have to give him kudos for, he says, your mom is really smart. She could go get a regular job, right? And they're like, yeah. And he goes, but she's got too much gumption and she's too fiery and she wouldn't do that. And you should learn after her. And so I do love that we as women, we are the number one source of monkey see, monkey do, right? And our kids are watching everything we do. And so if we play small, whether it's in business, whether it's in the home, staying in a bad relationship, playing small in life, we're teaching our kids just the same.
And no control.
Yeah.
And control doesn't mean, just to kind of speak to that word, because it can have a negative connotations.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's not about
connotation.
Yeah, connotation. There we go. We got the word. It's about owning it. It's owning your confidence, owning that you actually have gifts. Right. I talk about a lot of my S Energy book is, what you've got in here and in here, it's massive gifts. So what are you doing with them? Right. So if you want to play the, religious spiritual card, I think it's the biggest sin. You're sitting down and not helping people, and then when I say help people, I'm saying, and put a price tag on it. Like, you don't get my books for free. I think it's fascinating. I go, I still travel out to events here and there, and people always give me a copy of their book for free. And I'll say, mine's $20.
I love that.
Or in this case, because this one's still, a top bestseller, this one's $25. And they're like, yeah, but I just gave you my book for free. And I said, those are your rules, not my rules. I don't do that, because I know the value and I know what it took to put that knowledge in the book. And all of you have a book inside of you. You just don't have to be a super bestseller. Just start getting content out, so you have some content for social media. To your point, how do you start networking? You got to start having a message. What's your message? Mine is to change the conversation about money. Right. And debt is a huge, huge misnomer. People think they have to be debt free. I can guarantee you most millionaires are carrying hundreds of thousands of dollars of debt, if not millions. You say, oh my gosh, so how would any of you like to be $100,000 in debt? Most of you go down and pass out. I'm like, how much does the debt cost me? 2%, 3%? Give me $1 million. You say you're going to $1 million of debt? Yeah, because I know how to flip $1 million to $5 million.
Yeah.
You got to lean in and understand the base principles, much less, I'm talking about just basic pricing. The other thing too, since we are talking about that, is women do not price themselves accordingly. They constantly reduce their price. And it's like, oh, you're my girlfriend, I'll give you a discount.
Yeah.
No. So you have to say, like, so I just gave you all a gift, right? And the value of that gift is, hundreds of dollars. You say, well, then why'd you give it to us for free? Because I want you to get to know my conversation. And when you lean in, you're going to want to know more about the conversation. There'll be a point where you got to buy the rest of the books, for example. And I also have a game, a Millionaire Maker game. And I'm just using it as an example. But all of you so you have what's called lead magnets, which everybody clicks on that stuff on the internet. But once they come into you, what's your value offer?
Yeah.
And how are you going to change lives? And don't just offer, well, I'll tell you what's wrong with you. Fix people. They don't want to be told what's wrong. They know what's wrong.
Yeah.
I don't need somebody to tell me the things I have to fix. I'm really well aware of them. I just need more bodies who want to get, to the playing field and help.
Yeah.
So I think for a lot of you, price like any of your competitors. You say, well, I'm new. So what?
Yeah.
So what?
Believe in yourself. Stop discounting your worth. I was reading this book, and it's called "Look at the Future and Laugh." And one of the chapters in there is stop discounting your worth, and it's written for women. And often we discount ourselves before we even get to market, and then once we get to market, we take another discount to our price because we're so nervous. And the reality is, I mean, we just gotta get over ourselves.
Yep.
You got to show up.
Bob Proctor taught me the greatest thing about nervousness is a worrying about your self energy, right? It's all an internal. It's very selfish energy. So that's the word I gave it. So when you're nervous, the way you get out of nervous like that is get curious about another person. Start asking them questions. So, Katie, what's your financial goal? What do you want to make in your life? What do you want to do with your children? So get off of you and get over there, get curious, and nervousness just fades away. It just atrophies away very, very quickly because you're curious and you're listening to another person, what their needs are. And you're thinking while they're talking, how could I match that need? Now, maybe I can do it, or maybe I know somebody. So I'm going to have a referral structure set up. So I'm going to refer you to somebody who could do that thing because I can't do that thing, but I know somebody, and I'm going to take a % for that referral.
Yeah.
And that's affiliate marketing. And so a lot of you're just not doing the base stuff because, like you said, Katie, you're so nervous about doing it right. So get off of nervous and get curious about other people's lives, and you'll change yours.
I love that. And you talk about being spiritual, but like one of the rules, godly rules is to serve others before you serve yourself. And if you put others before yourself and you get curious and you talk about others, all of a sudden they talk about anxiety and depression and all these things that are, because they're very self-focused. It's very self-negative energy. Putting it out there and making the focus on someone else takes that instantly away.
Yeah. 100%. And it's also how you sell better. For those of you who say, I don't like to sell. Well, then, like when you come to the Millionaire Intensive, please get those 2 tickets. If you want more, talk to our team. They'll give you more. Because, women kind of also operate in little tribes. Yes. So you don't want to be the only one having this conversation and then convincing the rest to come along. Just, everybody come, have a new conversation about money, and a healthy one. So don't ever say you can't afford it. Never in front of your children. You can afford anything you want. You just got to learn to make the money.
Yeah. Oh, I love that.
Don't say
love that.
Don't ask for anything. When you ask a child sub 8, because their subconscious mind's not developed yet. When a kid says, here's, don't ask for it, we can't afford it. Any of those kind of negative language patterns, they internalize that is because I'm not worth it. Well, welcome to the damage you've been doing for those of you that have kids older than 8. So you got to consume them. And I don't care if you buy this book for them for Christmas and there's a never pay your kids an allowance, have them start designing a monthly income. The minute you get the book, there's a whole section on how to have your kids design their monthly income as an entrepreneur.
Love that.
They get to design the tasks. I
am buying this book the moment we get off here.
I've raised my kids since they were 3 and 4, designing their own little paycheck. So maybe it's only $50 one month. But as they got older, my son was a ski instructor. Both my kids are tutors. Both, my daughter doesn't babysit, she nannies. There's a big difference in how you get paid. Yep. So you've got, school's not where this is ever going to be taught, nor is it appropriate. Right? Yep. That's not what teachers know. You don't want a normal teacher who's never made $100,000. Maybe they make 130 or 40 in Canada, but still you want them teaching your kids money. Wrong conversation. So you got to get out to like experts, which is kind of what I liked about the pandemic, is it really created a showcase for experts to bring their work, and it changed the way kids learn.
Yeah. Oh, yes.
Schooling. And I know a lot of my homeschool parents, they use this as their money guide, because there's 87 steps of things to do between 0 and 20. It's written age by age, 0 to 5, 6 to 8. What do you do with these kids? And what could you be teaching them? And how do you talk about money? So you bring them up differently than you were brought up. I was brought up on a farm in Nebraska. Wasn't a bad way to grow up, but I would have no money conversation, like zero money conversation.
Oh, I was one of those kids that were in the like frugal money conversation where it was like, we got to watch what we spend, and no, you can't have that. And yes, maybe that. And so I totally get it. Like bring that into adulthood was a huge mindset shift change for me, because I don't want my kids growing up like that, because I believe you can have anything you want as long as you're willing to go after it.
Exactly. And take control, like you said.
Control. Yeah. Exactly. All right, let's leave. Oh, go ahead.
That conversation, I just want to give you a definition. Debt is just the cost of money. That's it. The cost of money. So you're either borrowing it, like I was like my example of, if I can get $100,000 million for 2%, 3% in this economy, I would take it all day long. Right. So you're either being paid because you're paying for the money, or you're paying someone else for the money. Yeah. It's just the use of money. So again, the personal attachment that you have around debt is because you don't know how to make enough money to get out of it.
Yeah.
So let's not solve the debt problem. Let's solve the income problem. Learn to make as much money as you want, whenever you want, because you can, and serve a lot of lives in the process. There's your winning ticket, is get out of you worrying about debt and go make a bunch more money. Then you can buy whatever you want.
So I always said growing up, my goal is that I can walk into a store at any time and just have what I want. That is,
you can look at the price tag, just say, I want that.
I want it, and that's okay. And that's what we should strive for. I mean, as women, to have control of their life, you don't need a man to do that. And you should definitely know your self-worth enough to go after it. So in closing up this segment, because I know I don't want to take up too much of your time because you are so busy, but can you give the ladies watching some practical steps or resources? And I know you've kind of, salt and peppered them throughout this conversation, but how they can, get excited and drop the fear and embark on a path towards financial empowerment and secure their own future.
Yep. So again, I'll repeat the gifts afterwards, but I mean, right now, just decide you're going to start a company doing whatever you're good at, not what you want to do. So if you're a teacher, you're going to have a tutoring company. You say, well, I don't want to tutor. You don't have, if that's your major skill, that's what you're going to do today. And it doesn't mean forever. Just for now, you've got to get in an entrepreneurial frame of what could I do to help other people? Food prepping is amazing. If you love to clean, go clean, houses, but do like Bob Proctor, not just residential, go commercial. For men, actually women can do it too. I've got, people starting, even college age kids starting pressure washing businesses, hauling companies like 1-800-GOT-JUMP. You know how much money those, these are simple tasks. People need a lot of help. Right now we have, holidays upon us. So hang Christmas lights for other people, especially elderly. Go to a 55 and up active, community where a lot of those, they don't want to get on a ladder. They don't want to hang their Christmas lights, but they'd like them. So go offer services that are just simple, easy, and just because get in the frame of making money. And that making money's good. Go rewatch The Secret. I was in The Secret. So you'll have fun with some of my, expressions over there, as money comes easily and frequently. Because when you say that, it's going to feel like you're lying, and you're not, and you have to learn. So I want you to go to, and we'll worry about the company. We'll worry about the structure. We'll get all that, we're not going to worry about it. We'll take care of that later. Right now, you've got to get in the frame for most of you of how am I going to make more money? And then for another group of you that are older, you're probably in what am I going to do to invest my money for better returns, especially in Canada. There's not as many choices as there are down here.
Nope.
It's just interesting. And as the farther you get out into the world, the less choices. So I have lots of solutions for, as you make it, how do you invest it? That's the pattern of a millionaire. I'm going to make it, invest it, not make, spend. You can spend later. Yes. You want to build your wealth and then your lifestyle. And so again, go to the Ask Loral, AskLoral.com/take control. It's on the screen, and grab the 2 tickets. We offer a free 30-minute strategy session to talk to one of our team about how we can help, and read the book. And I'd say the biggest one, just for free everyday education for you and your family, is just 10 minutes, do my YouTube channel every day. I have a message about 8 to 10 minutes every day.
I love that. I've been asking one question to every single speaker. Okay. And this one, I know you're going to nail, but what would you tell your younger self, or your daughter, which you probably already told her, what piece of counsel would you give your younger self, or any younger woman in your life, that would really help her take control of her life in total? What would you have done differently? What would you have wished that you were told?
I wish someone would have gave me a true financial formula that would have worked, because I did learn to make money early. I had a personal training company at 17. My daughter's 17. We've talked about her doing that and modeling. And just, she's an amazing national dancer. So there's a lot. I mean, she could put on kids' makeup. She could teach. There's lots she could do. So become an entrepreneur and start to hustle, like really learn. I can make as much money. I can live where I want. I can do what I want. Like having that confidence. So I didn't have that. I mean, I would constantly go, most of the mentors in my life until I met Sharon Lechter in 1996 were men, because there weren't any women doing it. And there weren't any women multimillionaires that were willing to talk about it. And most of them were behind a man, not in front of a man, and on their own. So I just, I wish I would have had more guidance early about living corporate life, because that is where I lost a lot of money in overpaying taxes, because I would make it and then I didn't know the tax stuff well enough. I didn't know corporate structure well enough. If someone would have guided the structure of how money could be used better, is what I would say. And then hire as fast as you can. So obviously in the beginning, you're not making a ton of money, but for those of you that are women, like you and I, single moms, my first big hire was home health, because I had to buy my life back. And there is nothing wrong with having other women, other people. I was raised by a tribe, of lots of aunts and uncles and other people in our life. So, having people that are like values, that's critical, like values to yours. For me, it's critical money conversation. They can't speak negatively of money, especially when the kids were little. But getting that home help, like you don't have to go grocery shopping. You actually don't have to food prep. You can have,
somebody do it for you.
You can have someone do a lot of that for you. So you buy back your time so you can get productive, making money, serving lives, and then increase your prices would be my third.
Awesome.
So get to the playing field quick and make 2024 your best year ever.
Oh, I love it. I'm joining your millionaire, whatever. I'm going to be there. I love it. You're such an inspiration to all of us. And ladies, make sure you go to askloral.com/take control, or I should say /take control, and take advantage of all these gifts Loral has given you. And I hope you've taken notes. I've taken like 6 different Post-it notes of notes while I'm here listening to her, because we don't know it all. And if we did, we'd be where Loral is sitting. So make sure you lean into the knowledge, you get on her YouTube channel, you buy her books, because that is how you're going to become a millionaire. Awesome. Yep. Thank you so much, Loral.
Appreciate you being here. Thank you. Appreciate being here. Bye, ladies.
Thanks for listening to the Real Money Talks podcast. Your host has been Loral Langemeier, author of 5 New York Times bestsellers, money expert on Dr. Phil, CNN, CNBC, The Street TV, Fox News, and The View. Want to learn more about off-Wall Street investing, tax strategies, and multi-million-dollar business strategies? Visit liveoutloud.com/podcast for past episodes, show notes, and resources. For some special wealth-building gifts only for Loral's podcast listeners, visit liveoutloud.com/podcast gifts. Do you have a burning question for Loral? Visit askloral.com to submit your question, and it may just be covered on a podcast episode. So stay tuned and be sure to subscribe to get new episodes every week.